Let's start the show.
This is the Strong Black Fathers Podcast, where each week we sit down with an influential father and dissect what it means to be a black dad in today's society, covering aspects of their life, what fatherhood means to them, their relationship with their kids, and lessons they've picked up along the way. I'm your host, Danny O'Fay. And on today's episode, I'm talking to Shaun Purefoy. You might not know the name, but chances are you've seen him and his family. A few years back, a picture of his family went viral, and he, his wife, and 5 kids were dubbed Black Family Goals. Since then, they've taken to YouTube to share their life and create hilarious spoofs of some popular songs. Take a listen.
Clean it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, clean it up, clean it up, clean it up, clean it up. Try to make it to the kitchen, can't even get in. Mess all on the floor, man, it really got me stressing. I ain't even got a guess, I already know it. It was one of them kids.
So that's Shaun and his wife, Nakia, in costume, making a music video about cleaning up to Yo Gotti's banger, Rake It Up. As the Strong Black Fathers Podcast, you would not be a strong black father without your kids. So how many kids do you have?
I have 5 and 1 on the way.
Oh, number 6 on the way.
Yeah, number 6 is on the way. He'll be here the end of November. So November 20th is the due date.
Man, that's right around the corner.
Yeah, man. So pretty much we'll be at any day status come November. So we're excited.
So you said that's a he. So that's gonna be a son. How many? What are your other kids? Sons, daughters?
We'll have 4 boys and 2 girls.
Okay, gotcha.
And our oldest is 17, and then we have a 14-year-old. Then skips a couple years, and we have an 8-year-old, a soon-to-be 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and then the baby boy will be here.
The newborn on the way. He's about to get all the love and all the attention in the world. He has 5 older siblings.
You already know, man.
For sure.
We love babies in this house.
That's good, man. But when did you become a father? I know your oldest is 17. How old were you when you had him?
My oldest boys, they're actually my wife's kids from previous relationships.
Okay.
So, they were the kids that kind of kicked it off for me when we got married 9 years ago.
Okay.
But my first biological child, my daughter Ariana, she was born 8 years ago. So gotcha. I was 26. Okay. 26 years old.
So you
doing my math right.
How long were you? How long was it you, your wife, and the boys before Ariana came along?
It was about 2 years before. Because we dated. We dated pretty quickly. We knew each other in high school, but we kind of went our own ways for college, and then we met back up through Facebook, actually, some years later after I graduated from college. And she had already, done so much. She had went to school, became a manager in a retail chain, and we just found our way back to one another. And she had some people with her when we met back up, and we just hit it off immediately. Like, the boys really had a lot of just like qualities that I possessed as a youngster, and I saw a lot of myself in them. So it was nothing for that transition between when we started dating to me just like really like mentoring them, and then just becoming someone that that they grew to love and call me dad. So
wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, it was they're a real blessing to me because when me and Nakia, which is my wife's name, when we got back together, or when we rekindled or reunited, whatever the case was, I was still kind of like living that bachelor lifestyle, and but when she and I got serious, I really had to take into consideration is like, yo, this is not just, this woman by herself is not going to just be us. I had these two young black boys that, are watching my every step. They were with me all the time, and so I had to really make moves, not just for my relationship with my soon-to-be wife, but also with my sons.
Yeah.
So I had to really like grow up really, really quickly. And
I'm sure because you said you were what, 24 when you guys started dating then, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's a lot of responsibility to shoulder, but it seems like you definitely stepped up and did what you had to do.
Yeah, man. They made it worth it. Like when you have kids that are brought up the right way, and you make that connection. I just wanted to give them any and everything that I had. Just whatever I could teach them. I tried my best to do it, and here we are. Almost 10 years later. And we're still moving strong. It hasn't been an easy road, but it's been the most fulfilling road ever.
That's awesome. So where are you guys at right now? Like, where do you guys live?
We just moved. We just relocated to Virginia.
Okay.
So we're originally from New Jersey, up in Essex County area. We lived in Plainfield for about 2 years, and then we're a Christian family, and I'm a minister, and God really just put on my heart to make this move and to help my parents with their ministry. So, after some prayer and just like a lot of conversations, we packed up the house and moved on down here to the country. So right now, we're in Virginia.
So your family is, you said you came to help out with your parents' ministry. Your parents' ministry is in Virginia? Is that the case? Okay.
My mom and my dad are pastors down here, and we decided to come down here and help them out, and just to start a new life down in the country.
Okay. So you're originally from the New Jersey area. Mm-hmm. Were you up there with your parents? Or your parents came down here a couple of years ago or something, or how did that happen?
My parents moved to Virginia. Well, my mom's dad is originally from here, so down here. My grandfather, along with his brothers and his sisters, way back when, they inherited some land from their dad. So between all of my great uncles and aunts, we have about 40 acres down here, just land that we own. So all of my grandfather, his brothers and his sisters, they all built houses on the land, and then their children built houses on the land, and now we're down here. So we're like the third generation to occupy this land. It's all family owned. Everyone on this road is family, and the last name is Brown, so we call it Browntown, and we have our own street and everything. And it was just it's like a legacy type of thing. But
man, that's a really cool thing to have. Yeah,
my parents were originally from New Jersey, so my grandfather moved up to New Jersey when he was in his teens, I believe. I forget the actual story, but my mom is from New Jersey. My dad was born in North Carolina, but was raised in New Jersey, and that's where they met, and that's where we had our life for the majority of my life. When I went to college, when I was a junior in college, they had moved down to Virginia.
Okay.
And have been down here ever since.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you still have a good amount of family up in New Jersey, or does your wife?
Yeah, so the rest of our family is up there. Our family's pretty split. So like all of my dad's sisters, they live in New Jersey still. All of our friends, all of our like the people that we hung out with, all of our like close family still lives in New Jersey. But some distant cousins and of course my parents, they live down here.
Okay.
So yeah, we're pretty split evenly.
That's pretty cool for your kids. I'm guessing they get to spend a lot of time with like cousins and stuff that they probably didn't get to when they were up in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, definitely. So we used to come down here during the summers when I was a kid and just run around, get out of the city, go fishing, go swimming in ponds, and play in the mud, build stuff with our hands.
It's that real country life.
Facts, all facts, man. And we used to come down here every summer just to get away from the city. And I would meet my cousins, like my second and third cousins, and we would just cut up together.
Right.
And as I got older, I kind of got away from it. And but my kids never really knew like what that life was like. They didn't know their heritage. They only knew one side. They only knew like the city side. But there's a long standing history down here in Browntown, and it's it's really like some like Black excellence. Like the story of how we acquired the land. Like my family, they were business owners, they were businessmen. And they really did a lot to obtain the land and maintain it. So it's an awesome thing that I'm able to like pass that down to my kids and let them see, like we actually own this land.
Right. I know some of your kids are a little bit younger, but are the older ones like taking that in and really running with that? Like the fact that this is your land, like this is yours.
I don't know if they fully grasp that. I know they just know that this is Nana's house. They know that we in the country, and like my cousin. Well, they're I guess I don't know the math, but the cousins that I came down here and spent those summers with, they have kids.
Right.
So now our kids are they go to school together. They hang out, and it's like this awesome just like full circle type of thing down here. So I don't know if they grasp that concept yet, but they still think it's pretty cool in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that you have a lot of family around there, and I can tell that family is something that's really important for you in your life. Not just clearly you have your wife and your children, but just extended family as well. Has that played into you being the strong Black father that you are?
I try my best, man. Family has always meant everything to me. I don't think there have been some things that, some life goals and aspirations that I've had that, before I got married, they were like number one on my list. But as soon as I, got married and we started having kids and just really just being fulfilled in that way, I never wanted to let it go. Like I was, I'm really into music and recording, and I was writing for a bunch of different people and performing here and there. But as soon as like my daughter was born, like you would have to like drag me out of the house to go to the studio. I've always loved my family. I've always just held my family in like a high regard because they've poured so much into me. I've had a great support system growing up. And that's something that I always wanted to reflect in my own, like being a father. And then too, like, like my dad was in the home growing up, but we didn't really have like a tight relationship, because he was dealing with his own thing, the struggles of being a Black man living in the city, trying to make it work.
Right.
Stuff that I didn't comprehend as a kid. Which I fully comprehend now.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
How easy it can be to get caught up in that lifestyle and not be as present as you want for your kids. I get it now. But like I knew that, and I never, like faulted him for it, but I just understood that, like he wasn't able to give me what I needed at the time. But I knew that, when I became a dad, like that's something that I never ever wanted to miss out on, know.
Yeah.
And I just thank God that, I say that that piece about my pops because, he and I were like really, really tight now.
Yeah.
And we have the relationship that, I guess that I was longing for growing up. But, the circumstances have changed and he's changed and it's a good thing. But I just always wanted to be like that present father. I always wanted to be at any game, any situation, any assembly, you being honored for anything. I want to be there. And, my kids will tell you like I am, next to their mom, like I'm their biggest fan. There's no one that's going to ever like root for my kids more than me.
That's a good thing. That's really awesome, man. Especially for the kids to know that their parents are there for them every step of the way. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you, with your pops, you said now you guys are on a better page. Did that happen because you guys had a heart to heart, or is it just now that you're older, you understand more?
I think it was a combination of both. Growing up, my dad, he didn't have a faith. He went to church when he was a kid, but he wasn't really into it. And when he got older, he kind of like got away from the church. But my mom, was a faithful churchgoer. She always made sure that, we attended church and, read the Word of God. And that's something that she instilled in us at an early age. And, we would go to church and he would stay home. And it was kind of like a reflection of just like our relationship at the time. He was just doing his own thing. I don't know. I can't really speak for it. But I had gotten into a car accident when I was a freshman going into my sophomore year in high school, and I almost lost my life. Oh, wow. And when that happened, my dad just was like distraught, as and, he always loved me and my sister and my siblings, but just couldn't express it the way that we wanted to. Yeah. But through that accident, because it was just so traumatic, he decided to give his life to the Lord. And, slowly but surely, God had been just like really working on his heart. And as I got older and as I matured and was able to let go some of the things that, that I was going through as a youngster, and, him not being as present as I wanted him to be, we did. It wasn't like hey, this happened because of this, but, through conversation and through us just like sharing just our own steps as men and as dads, especially as fathers. When I became a father, we began to just like heal. He definitely apologized for his actions, and, I was just waiting to forgive him. Yeah. Because he was always, I always wanted him a part of my life, and even with his distance as a kid, when I was a kid, I should say, I still held him in high regard. Like I still bragged about my father when everybody's talking about their daddy could do this, their daddy could do that. Man, my daddy could beat your daddy. You know what I'm saying? So, like I longed for that, I mean? Because family meant so much to me. He meant so much to me. But we definitely did take time to heal and to forgive and to, like our thing now is like we're able to talk about things, and we're just in a really, really awesome place right now.
That's huge. That's good. And I'm sure he's in your kids' lives too. Like he's a good grandpa and everything.
Oh man, he's the best grandpa. He's the best grandpa. We're actually, until we get our home built, we're staying with my folks right now. Okay. They have a huge house down here, and he runs around with them. He, helps them whenever they need help. They love him, and he loves them. He's always asking about them. He would, even when we were living in New Jersey, he would call me, wouldn't even ask me about my day. He would be asking, what them kids doing? Right. Let me speak to the little ones. So yeah, man, he loves them.
That's good, man. I do want to take a step back and talk a little bit about two things. One, your faith, but two, music. You said that you used to spend a lot of time in the studio. Yeah. Were you an artist?
Kind of, sort of. Okay. When I grew up singing in the church. And then in high school, I kind of like got that R&B bug. So I was kind of pursuing that lifestyle for a while. But when I graduated from college and started teaching, I met up with a good friend of mine, Troy Bell, in New Jersey, in Orange, New Jersey, actually. And we formed a gospel group. And, we put we actually put like 2 albums together. Oh, wow. And put them out. And they did pretty good, I guess, for independent, gospel artists. But it's nothing that I did as a solo project yet, because just bad timing, I guess. When I was trying to do gospel music, when I was trying to do R&B, God was really just like, this is not for you. And I was like, but I want it, God. I want it. He's like, nah. So, but yeah, once me and Troy linked up, he found out that I can write and that I could sing. And he was, like an awesome engineer and producer. So, we made some awesome songs together. I've written for a couple of different people, but long story short, no, I'm not an artist, but I have done some stuff.
Okay. The reason why I asked is because the first thing that I came across of you, like the first piece of content or whatever you want to call it that I came across of you, I think it was you and your son, I believe, and you were singing to him, and he was singing you would sing like a little melody, and he would sing the little melody back, and I was like, wow, okay. That is really cool. That's really powerful, and clearly you can sing well. So I was like, okay, he must have some type of background in music. But it makes sense. You grew up in the church, so you were singing in the church, and then you stepped away and did a little bit of your own thing. Got some albums. Where can I get the album, man?
Oh man, it's on Spotify. It's on anywhere you can download music, anywhere you can stream music. It's Troy Bell and J Factor is the name of the group, and I'm
definitely gonna link that to the show notes. Yeah,
man, show some love to the group. If they see this, what's up? My family, Jersey family, Troy Bell, J Factor, what up?
Shout out. But yeah, man, another thing though is your faith. You are a Christian man, you got a Christian family. That's something that's big to you. Speak a little bit on that. Have you always been in the church and God first in your life?
Yeah, man. So like I said earlier, growing up, church was just like huge. I remember getting ready for school in the morning, my mom would be blasting like John P. Key and Fred Hammond and Kirk Franklin and those folks. And that's the music that we listened to every day. And we went to church every Sunday and sometimes twice on Sundays. And sometimes we went to the midweek service and then choir rehearsal. So, church was really big in our family. Like faith was really big in our family. And it's something that I've never been able to get away from. And for a good reason, what I'm saying, because my faith has definitely shaped how I am as a man and as a husband and as a father, because just a lot of, it's tough out here being a black man in America, as you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you don't have something that can, like really ease your mind, or some strength to gather from places when you are weak, when you are despondent, when you are just at your wits' end, and that like the pressures of the world are just on top of you. I always just go to God, man, and whenever I can do that, and whenever I do that, he always has a word for me. I'm able to like really put things into perspective, and like my faith has really been like a rock in all of my interactions and my relationships, and has just made me a better man, especially with today's world and today's the climate of society nowadays.
A lot of things going on in the news every day.
It's terrible, man, and it's like kids are walking around here hopeless. I see it in my students, even sometimes with my own sons, the things that they have to battle, and some things like even as parents, we can't handle. But, when we give it to God, he's able to do it. When we're weak, he's strong. Yeah. And that's something that I've learned and I've hung my hat on, even more so, these last like 2 or 3 years. Yeah, man. So faith is huge in my family. I'm a minister. I'm actually about to become ordained as an elder, and one of these days I'll be a pastor. But I've always been in the church. I've been a minister of music. I'm an ordained deacon now. My mom is a pastor. My dad is a pastor. My wife's mom and dads are reverends and ministers, and so we just we're a Christian family, and God has just always been a focal point of our family.
So you met your wife back in high school, but when you guys rekindled, what was it through the church? Like, how did that really happen? Because I know she's big into faith. Her faith is strong as well.
Yeah. No, we actually rekindled on Facebook. When I was in high school, that's back when, I'm dating myself, but the AOL chat rooms, when those popped off. So we kind of met like through one of my homeboys who played basketball at my school. I went to Seton Hall Prep, and he introduced us online, and we kind of kicked it for a while in high school. But I was, immature dude, coming into his own, still trying to figure out girls and trying to be a player, and all those things like that. And she wasn't having it. Once she found out that I was like talking to other girls, she told me to lose her number and don't call her again. And I tried to call her, but she wasn't having it. But it was just something about her that like really like struck a chord with me. And for the life of me, I could never, ever forget this girl. So like I was in college, like trying to find her any way necessary. She wasn't returning my phone calls. She wasn't answering any of my instant messages on AIM or anything like that. So I tried to hit her up on Black Planet when that was the thing.
Hey, throwback.
It is Thursday, right? So, but I was never able to find her. I went through my whole college, my college years, was unable to find this girl. But that's when Facebook like kind of took off. I graduated, and then I just one day, just like let me get this one more shot. I searched her up on Facebook and I found her, and I was like, oh snap. So I sent her a message and asked her if she remembered me, and she kind of like tried to curve me a little bit, but she eventually remembered me, and then we kind of just like talked from there and exchanged numbers, and I guess the rest is history. Yeah. It's a deeper story than that, but I don't know how much time you have.
But, you guys have a really strong bond, and that's something that I've seen in the vlog. And the vlog is really cool that you guys are documenting your life, like the ups, the downs, the goods, the bad, the ugly, everything. So when did you guys actually start the vlog? And why too? When and why?
So it was about 3 years ago when my youngest son, current youngest son now, Shaun Jr., when he was born, I was like, we should first, people are always telling us like, yo, you guys need to have your own TV show, because if you ever get a chance to meet my kids, they are like the funniest, just like craziest kids you'll ever meet. They have so much personality. They're also very well spoken and just like, extremely talented in a bunch of different areas. But people would always, like total strangers would be like, your kids should be in movies, or your kids should do this, or you guys should have a TV show. So we kind of like just went with that. And we wanted a way to just document my son, Xavier, my oldest son. He had just signed a deal with a talent agency to pursue acting in New York City. And we kind of just wanted to, we didn't know where that was going to go. So we just kind of wanted to document, things that were going on with the family, and, like his auditions and him landing roles and things of that nature. So that's kind of like where the initial idea started. But then it just morphed into, like, people wanted to see more of the kids and more of like family interactions, and then things with acting weren't working out so well, so we needed content for other things. And we sing, so why don't we sing and do this? And it just evolved. We still trying to find our niche and trying to perfect what we put on the channel, because there's a little bit of everything on there now. Mm-hmm. But that's where it started. And at the end of the day, we wanted to be able to look back 20 years from now when they're all grown, and just have some, awesome family videos to just be like, oh, remember when we did this? Remember when we did that? Right. So we'll always have that with the vlog.
That's good, man. And I can tell that your family has no problem being in front of the camera. There's a few things that come to mind. Your son, he was like a host of a Nickelodeon type of show or something like that, which was really cool. I saw that. Two, I don't know if it was recent or if it was a year back or a few years back. Your family was highlighted like by a lot of different Facebook pages and stuff like that, like as like this is what we're missing, a black family that's just together and bonded. And then third, and this one I didn't even realize, I had put up a video on my website of dads doing their daughter's hair, right? Uh-huh. And come to find out, the one of the dads and the actual dad on the thumbnail is you, and I didn't even realize that when I first put it up there. So speak a little bit about some of those things, like your son being on Nickelodeon, that experience doing your daughter's hair, because didn't you win that, like the dad's doing daughter's hair? It wasn't like kind of like a competition and you won?
It wasn't a competition. Backtracking, so Xavier, my oldest son, he's the actor. He's like he's basically like me, but taller. And I don't have abs anymore. But he's a gifted actor and dancer. And through this talent agency that he was going through, Nickelodeon YouTube was looking for a new show that they were going to do that highlighted some of the shows that they were doing, and they wanted these kids to be super fans of Nickelodeon and talk about the SpongeBob and Henry Danger and all these different things. So through that, he was able to he got the gig. And the acting bug kind of hit my daughter as well, and she had did a couple of different little jobs in the city. And there was casting. So BuzzFeed, they had put out a casting call for dads who, were cool on camera and, whose daughters had a little personality. So, we actually auditioned for that, and they invited us to BuzzFeed, and we recorded that for BuzzFeed for the Daddy Does Their Daughter's Hair thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Xavier, he through that Nickelodeon YouTube thing, he was able to host. Nickelodeon has this thing called the Halo Awards, where they highlight young people throughout the country who are doing like big service projects, like feeding the homeless, or this one girl, she had a shoe drive that she would get shoes and give to kids who didn't have it. So he was able to host that, but they invite all these different celebrities. It's a big concert that they have in New York City, and they have different people come, and he was able to host that. And he kind of like took off a little bit with the Nickelodeon YouTube thing. And so we just had a couple of viral moments. We took this one picture, and when my son was first born, my son Shaun Jr., when he was first born, and shout outs to Alyssa, who took the picture because he was at his newborn photo shoot. We took the picture and we put it online, and I think I put a couple hashtags on it. And then next thing I know, I'm getting a DM from this person. I'm getting a phone call from my mom. I'm getting a phone call from my cousins. I'm getting a DM from my homeboys, my friends from college that I hadn't seen in 6 years. They're all messaging me and tagging me on Facebook. Hey, this is my cousin. This is my cousin. Oh, look at this. And I'm like, what is going on? Because my phone was literally like blowing up. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, what is going on? So someone had took the picture, and it was just like, this is what America is like afraid of, a strong black family. Mm-hmm. And then this person took it, and then they shared it on this, and then this person shared it, and then this shared it. And then, man, it had it's been shared about, 50,000 times. It's been that picture has been seen and viewed over 1 million times. It was like our first viral moment, or whatever the case was. And then things really got crazy when I get a call from my mom and my sister. They're on like two-way, and they have me on speakerphone, and they're like, "You're on Bossip." I'm like, "What? What is Bossip?" Because I never looked at it. I don't go on it on the website or whatever, but it's like this is celebrity gossip, and Bossip did a little write up on us, and then that even spurred more just like comments and shares and things like that. So it was a cool moment, of viralness, but just as quickly as it popped off was just as quickly as it died. It was,
yeah,
it was a fleeting moment, but it was cool. But it was just like we have something that the world wants to see, and we have something that is actually kind of common, like big Black families is a common thing. But, if you leave it to, like the world we live in and what we see on social media and what we see on TV, you don't see, us,
right,
represented in that way, especially like an all Black family. Yeah, we just thought that it was something that we could just put out into the world and be an example, and hopefully, lend some guidance to, people who are like thinking about starting a family, thinking about getting married. And we just really have also developed a heart and a passion for helping those kinds of families. And that's what we try to do through our Instagram and our YouTube channel.
That's great. That really is. So really, have people actually, been reaching out to you? Because I was going to ask you, what has social media done for your family? Because like you said, some things are fleeting, right? Yeah, you get a write up about your family, and then it's gone. Yeah. But you guys have established this vlog, which is, I think you guys have a couple thousand subscribers, and people are consuming this daily. So what has this done for your family?
It's really given us a platform to educate, to empower, and to entertain. And that's kind of like a couple pillars that we stand on. I know, and my wife and we know how, the struggles that we go through, and we know that other people go through them too. So we kind of just want to be a light, and just really be a beacon of hope, and try to help people through the tough and rough times. And in doing that, we've been able to do a couple cool things. We've had a couple of brand deals with a couple of different things. People have reached out to us to do commercials and things of that nature. We've gotten a bunch of free stuff, which is pretty cool. My wife, she runs a mommy and women's issues blog called KeysChronicles.com. And, through those things, she's been able to have a taste of the influencer life, so people are hitting us up, quite frequently, especially, lately, about, endorsing products and reviewing products and, getting on, they want to use our videos for this, they want to use photos for that. So it's a slow process, but, it's picking up a little steam.
Okay.
But that's where we want to go.
Okay, I was going to ask you, is that something that you actually want to do? I know that you're going to be in the ministry now, probably more so than ever as time continues. So are you going to be able to balance the two, or how do you see it happening?
With God's help, yeah, definitely, man. This is what I want to do. Ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to be in entertainment. When I was in the 6th grade, I had a chance to be in a movie, and when that happened, I just got that bug. I never wanted to let it go. And now seeing that, my kids want to be in acting, and, no cap, that's not something that we pushed onto them. They want to be in entertainment. Yeah. So that's something that that we want to do. And I think that even with being on social media and with being in entertainment and, with all that goes on with, the YouTube and Instagram or whatever the case is, it's just going to broaden our reach for ministry, because, in everything that we do, we always make sure that we let people know that, if it wasn't for God, we wouldn't be able to do any of these things. We always stamp that and try to make that as known as possible. Like, we are a faith-based family, and we depend on God's leading, his direction, his guidance in everything that we do. So, whether it's, should we do this brand deal? Should we, post this? Should we do this? Should we do that? Yeah. We always try to make sure that we put God first, and he's blessed us in a lot of areas.
Good, man. So yeah, now let's get to the hot topic. And this week's hot topic is brought to us by Jason Sims, and he wants to know, let's see, are we as a culture still worried about boys' toys versus girls' toys? Is that something that we collectively, as Black culture, is that something that we're worried about? What do you think?
I would say yes.
Okay.
As a collective, we might be, because I think that traditionally in the Black community, we've been pretty firm on our stance on sexuality and identity. Mm-hmm. I know growing up, you weren't allowed to cry because men don't cry.
Right.
If you got caught with playing with Barbies, what I'm saying, they called you gay. Mm-hmm. They called you this, that, and the third. You were ridiculed by it. You couldn't wear your hair a certain way. I remember that you couldn't even put your earring in your right ear.
Right. I do remember that. Yeah.
The gay ear. Whatever that meant.
Oh, man.
So I think there's still some remnant of that, but definitely with this new millennial thinking, labels have been quote unquote disappearing. Mm-hmm. So like boys' toys and girls' toys, I think that is a thing, but I don't think we care as much as we used to.
Okay. How about you personally? Do you have an issue with it, or do you feel like your son shouldn't play with certain toys, your daughter shouldn't play with certain toys?
Not really. Because he has, the dynamic of my house is like I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old boy. So they're basically young men, right. They do young men things. So like they don't play with toys at all.
Right.
They play Fortnite and, they talk to girls and they do this, that, and the other, mm-hmm. And my son, who's home all day with his mom and his youngest sister, what is he going to do? He needs someone to play with. So when he's playing with people, of course, he has his own toys. He's got the Spider-Man toy and he's got the Miles Morales Spider-Man. He's got both Spider-Man, the black one and the white one. And he's got his Power Rangers and his Paw Patrols and all that stuff like that, too. But, he's got two older sisters that are closer in age than his older brothers. And, I don't want him growing up too fast with, it's like solely hanging out with them. Yeah. So he plays with them and whatever they playing, like he's just got to fall suit. He's got to fall in line. His big sister, she runs the show when it's playtime. So, if he's got to, take Barbie to the grocery store, he's just going to have to do that right then.
Right.
And there. But, in his own spare time, he gravitates to, things that fight. And typically girls don't fight in the things that he watches. Mm-hmm. So he's more prone to just play with his own toys. He really marches to his own beat unless his older sisters tell him what to do.
Okay. I wanted to ask you if you have seen those new Barbies, like they're gender neutral Barbies. They don't look like boys, or they look like they could be boys or girls, and they come with all these different accessories. And basically, they're meant to be gender neutral. It's supposed to, cater to everybody, especially the LGBTQ and all the other letters.
Yeah.
But yeah, have you seen that doll, and what are your thoughts on it?
I've seen it, and I think just like with anything, let kids make the decisions, man. Like I think, mm-hmm. Even with pushing this gender neutral phase, it's still propaganda. Just like just like the G.I. Joe toys. back in my day.
Right.
They're just like, My Little Pony and Barbie. It's all propaganda. If you want a product out there, you're going to advertise it, and whatever the product is, it has a message attached to it. Some human came up with it, and it's going to push their ideals, whatever the case is. You have to, you're going to either accept it or you're not. And trying to say that anyone is neutral, I don't necessarily subscribe to that, because it's just my own beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that people identify with whatever, and that's their prerogative. And if that's something that you want to get for your children, that's cool. But just know that whatever you get for your children is going to, influence their thinking, is going to influence, the trajectory of their thoughts. If you say that something's gender neutral, that's already a bug that you're putting in their ear.
Very true.
Because they never knew. No baby comes out of the womb saying like, "Oh, am I a boy?" They don't even know. Am I a boy or a girl? We tell them what they are.
Yeah.
And once you say that, "Oh, you don't have a gender, this is gender neutral," then that becomes their train of thought. That's something that they begin to think on, and then that's something that they're going to have to research and try to make sense of in their own time. I don't push anything either way. The Bible tells us to train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they're older, they won't depart from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just live my life as I know how to.
Yeah.
I try to impart into my sons, the lessons that I've learned along this way, and that's it. I talk to my daughters, and I build with them on the opposite end of the spectrum as to how a man is supposed to treat a woman. And, I don't push anything on them, and, I let them come to their own conclusions, and, whatever they decide that they want to be, whatever they decide that they're going to do, that's between them and God.
Yeah.
All I can do is live my life and try to be a parent as best as I can, and try to lead as best as I can. But, it's a toy,
Yeah. I mean, with the accomplishments that your kids have already sustained, it's clear that your example is being set and being followed. So
you,
I know your kids appreciate you, man. But let's get into some of these final questions. These are some questions I'm gonna ask every single guest that comes on the show. Okay. For number one, how have your children changed you? How have they changed your life?
Ooh, in the biggest way, they've changed me. They've taught me to be selfless. They've taught me to be responsible. They've changed me. I was fearless, and just like I felt invincible before I had kids, but I now know just like how fragile life is. I know that life is precious, and I think they've made me more careful to appreciate those moments, and to appreciate life even more. And they brought me a joy that I can't explain. So I have so much joy in my life because of them, and they've really changed me in that aspect.
That's a blessing. And you're saying you have a lot of moments, so this one might be pretty hard to answer, but what's one moment that will forever live in your memory, like it literally just happened a second ago? And it can be, with one child, with all the children, with just you and your wife, anything like that.
Well, I mean, this moment happens fairly often, but my kids are like awesome singers. They play piano, they play drums. My daughter wants to learn guitar. So they want to learn as much as they possibly can. But when I see them sing together, and when they sing together, or when we sing as a family, it really just blesses my soul, man. It's like one of those things, because I know for a fact, like, if anything, I mean, I'm a pretty decent looking guy, and I have some kids. But if there was anything that I wish that I could give them, would be like the gift of song and the gift of music, and to hear them like not just be like okay singers, but like really awesome singers, and like worshipers. Like, we just had a youth Sunday a couple weeks ago, and they led the worship, and my son played piano, and my daughter, she sang, and my other son was on the drums, and they were backing her up. And just to watch them do that, man, if I stared too much longer, I was going to be just like straight up in tears. Like, yeah. I can't even look at them for more than 10-second clips, or else I'll just cry.
Man, yeah, that's powerful. I feel, I understand what you mean. I have a daughter. Everything she does, I love it. But I can only imagine when you have, multiple kids up there on stage and they're getting it together. It's your unit. That's your unit, your family unit doing their thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
And lastly, what advice could you give to new fathers?
Be there. And put God first. We need a model as fathers to pattern ourselves after. And this world doesn't give us great ones. I grew up listening to Jay-Z and DMX and Styles P and Jadakiss, and the lessons that those guys taught me, were only good in one arena. It didn't translate to fatherhood. Mm-hmm. So those were my examples growing up. But when we look at how God loves the church and how God loves his children, should be what we as fathers pattern ourselves after, because God's love is perfect. God's love is patient. It's long suffering. And those are things that you're going to need. You're not going to, in this world of cancel culture, we're quick. As soon as somebody messes up, we're quick to just write them off and to just cut and sever ties and burn bridges and, whatever the case is. You can't do that as a parent. You've got to be there through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, a lot of times it's a thankless job. But when you know who you are as God's child, and when how you are training your kids up to be, when it's patterned after, the greatest of us all, Jesus Christ, like that's all you're going to ever need, more than the latest pair of Jordans, the Yeezys, more than a chain or a fancy haircut or going to, a restaurant and spend a bunch of money at the mall, like instilling your kids in that, being there for them, and, being able to, just pattern and love them like how God loves us. That's the advice that I would give them, because you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is good advice. That's sound advice, because no matter what, having that type of love and putting into them, like pouring into them, I should say, is that's what it is right there.
Yes, sir.
But Shaun, I want to thank you for coming on the show, man. It's been a pleasure to chat with you, learn a little bit about you and your family.
Thanks for having me, man. This was awesome. Thank you.
Man, of course. And is there anything that you want to shout out, something that you're doing, something that you got going on that you want to let the people know about?
I just want to shout out my beautiful wife, Nakia Purefoy. We're going to be celebrating 9 years of marriage come October 22nd. And I just want to encourage everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to reach 3,000 subscribers before the year is out, and definitely make this a full-time thing. So subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram.
Shaun is most definitely a strong black father. There's not too many men that at the age of 24 would take on the role of a father if they didn't have to. With that as his foundation for his fatherhood, you can tell the type of man Shaun is. You can see what Shaun and his family are up to by subscribing to their YouTube page, The Purefoys. A link is in the show notes, so you can just click there. And make sure to subscribe to help them reach their goal of 3,000 subscribers before 2020. They only need about 100 more, so go ahead and help him out. Now.
Thank you for listening.